Another movie, speaking of found
Mm,
footage as well, in a way, but we'll get into that,
mm.
that made a big impact when it came out in
Yep.
1980. Cannibal Holocaust. That's what we're talking
Yep.
tonight, children on the
Fantastic
iceberg.
segue.
Thank you. It's another biggie.
Mm.
It's always on the list,
Yep. Yep.
whatever list. Yeah. What's you in this film? How
Oh.
does it go,
Um,
Dorian?
yeah. It's a bit boring for me, honestly.
hmm I'm
Yeah,
not far
it's
off
def
where you're at. Not far
yeah,
off.
it's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things where if you haven't seen a lot of stuff that is in this movie, then yeah, it's gonna have a lot more of an impact on
hmm
you than if you're a little bit too
During a
desensitized and a little bit too,
pandemic,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, if you're a little bit too fucked up in
First
the
time.
head. Admittedly, I'm pretty sure I watched it around about like 10 years ago. So it's not something that I've watched, first
What
time
was
watch
it
was
like
recent.
then? What
Oh,
was the first
pretty
time
much just,
watch?
it's like, oh, is that it? Because
Okay.
like me and my friends, that was one that we were always like, oh yeah, Cannibal Holocaust, because of its
Mhm.
reputation and the fact that, it's so controversial and it being banned and this, that, and the other, and so I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to watch it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's
Because
another one
sometimes
you've
we
got
would,
to. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when I watched it, I was like, huh, is that all? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I hear you. I hear you. And then
but
you've rewatched it for this?
yes, yeah,
Yes. Okay. Okay. And pretty much felt the same, or was it even
yeah,
more
yeah.
the
Because, yeah,
okay.
yeah, pretty much just, because it gets to a point where it's kind of just same, same. Like, okay, yeah, now they're doing this. Okay, they're gonna do something new. Here's another animal
Mhm.
that they're killing just simply for the sake of
Yeah.
creating this film. All right. Ah, here's another scene of sexual assault. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, come up with something new.
It's funny that you say that because I've been thinking when we're not on the mic, we do,
Mm,
especially in the podcasts on the
mm,
iceberg. I don't want to get too never too moral police. I'd be
mm.
contradictory to my own self
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
started doing this. Certainly with the films, yeah.
Mm,
And then I watched this film, and I've covered this film before
yeah.
on another podcast. Shout out Joey Violin, the Third Scar. Hope you've rebuilt well. Keep your head up. Keep going. Um, did really well. The video got like
Mm.
48,000. Yeah,
Oh, hell yeah.
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 So this is a popular film. This
Yeah.
is crazy. What's the word? Iconic's not the word. No,
Mm.
because it's not
Yeah.
beloved. Iconic
Infamous,
also,
maybe?
connotes. Yeah, infamous. Absolutely, it's
Mm.
infamous. It's definitely
Mm.
infamous. Um, and yeah, and the problem with it, yeah, watching it again and trying not to be a moral police is the director
Mm.
Deodato,
Mm.
Ruggero Deodato.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you've seen Hostel 2, he's the
Mm.
crazy old guy
Yes.
having
Yeah,
dinner.
he's the cannibal. He's eating Victor
Yes.
Crumb.
Yes. And oh yeah, that reminds me, it's Cursed Film Season 2
Mm.
Cannibal
Yeah.
Holocaust on Shudder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
Dorian, for
highly
that.
recommend that show. If you've watched
I need to watch them all.
on Dead yeah,
Definitely.
if you watched on Dead Meat Presents their production Tales from Hell series,
Mm.
Cursed Films on Shudder is essentially that same kind of concept.
And so I found it very effective, certainly more
Mm,
effective this time. And it's because
yeah.
of its seen in time and context that I
Mm,
found it more effective. And also, I think partially probably because what we've been doing,
yeah.
concentrated time, watching this, and I'm watching more extreme stuff in my own time. And as I've talked about before, there's Lars von Trier and that sort of thing
Mm,
outside of horror
yeah.
that I've watched watched pretty
Yeah.
much all of. So, not alien or immune to this. But there are definite moments of what the fuck is happening, like the turtle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
I first saw that, it was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. And today I skipped it and I went, no, no,
Mm.
no. I need
Oh,
to
yeah.
properly experience this to be able to talk about it.
Mm.
But then I was definitely, taking notes, looking away,
Yeah.
coming
Oh,
back
yeah.
to it. Didn't sit
Yeah.
there and watch it wholly. I know it's hypocritical, and that's the point of the scene, is showing up the
Mm.
hypocrisy.
Mm.
But tell your actors first
Mm.
before you do that, which he didn't.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's just an example of what the problem of this film is, and
Yeah.
why it's hard not
Yeah.
to bring it back to be a moral police towards this one. Yeah, and also it's boring and not ineffective. It's reminded me of Salo quite a bit whilst
Mm.
watching it. Similar
Yeah.
vibe, feeling,
Yeah.
effect afterwards. Yeah, just different shit is being exploited and
Yeah.
assaulted. Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. Where do we begin? Where do we begin?
No.
Is it a found footage film? Or
I
is it a
mean,
mockumentary? Is it a mock documentary?
the um overall, like the main story of the film is found footage, like in the literal term. It is footage that has
Mhm.
been
Been
found.
found, yes.
Yeah, so you have essentially this film crew. They're going to film a documentary in the Amazon about specific indigenous tribes there, and they've gone missing. And then you have like, this main character guy who is on a quest to go and try to find out what happened to them, and then in the process ends up coming across the film reels while he's there in the Amazon, and then it kind of you have more sequences of the footage, and then you have some scenes of like the people who are watching the footage and then their reactions
Mhm.
to it, and then wanting
Mhm.
to release this footage, and they're
Mhm.
just back and forth about that, and then it goes back to more of the footage and this,
Mhm.
so the bulk of the film is found footage. So that's why Cannibal Holocaust is when people
Is it the
like to
bulk
go, well,
of?
technically, well,
I'd say it's
actually, about found
not.
footage, people say Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah,
That's why.
because the first, it's half
Mm.
isn't found
Yeah,
footage.
yeah. It's
It's
a it's
this,
a documentary. It's a
mm,
documentary, and then the bulk of the footage within the documentary is showcasing footage that has been found.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that. Okay,
Mm,
okay, I
yeah.
agree with that.
And so
Yes, yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's why
Um,
Cannibal Holocaust is
yeah,
credited
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
being, But I
Would you
mean, if
agree
you want
it's
to,
about
yeah,
60-40? Yeah,
yeah,
60 being
yeah,
the documentary, the found footage. Well, sorry, the
mm,
found footage. And
yeah,
then the other
yeah,
40 is, yeah, it is kind of documentary
mm,
style
yeah.
ish, but we'll
Because
get
there,
into that
yeah, because
because
there's
there's a
a
whole
no, yeah.
lot of stuff to that. Please go,
Mm.
please go.
Yeah, like the stuff that isn't the found footage, there is a voiceover
Yeah,
narrating it.
yes, it
So,
is. Yes, it is. It's
mm,
very feature film,
yeah,
basically. Yes, it is
yeah,
a very much of the time of 1980. Yeah, feature
mm.
film. Um, okay, so what do you think the relationship is between found footage and documentary?
They are kind of intertwined. Like a lot
Mm.
of like there are some really good fake documentary, like mockumentary kind of horror films that are lumped into the found footage category. Like Lake Mungo,
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
Tunnel, like I'm just thinking of a bunch of Australian ones. I mean
I don't
Hell
know
House
that.
LLC, like their documentaries as well in terms of the way that they're presented. I mean,
Sure,
like,
sure.
um, the last broadcast is. a little bit more within a documentary format, but it is still found footage. That movie came out the year before the Blair Witch Project, so technically that would be considered more of a, you know, first
Yeah.
found footage rather than the Blair Witch
Uh-huh.
Project. Thank you very
Uh-huh.
much.
What do you think the first
Um,
found footage film is?
I don't know. I
What?
haven't seen all the found footage movies that exist, so I don't know
Yeah,
the
okay.
exact timeline.
So on the timeline side of things there, children, I need to mention The Connection, which was in 1961. Now, this is the earliest sighting of the first found footage movie,
Mm,
not the first found footage horror movie,
mm,
because there is a distinction.
yes.
You have Project X, I think that was the name of
Mm,
that
yeah.
epic party
Yeah.
movie. You have Chronicle, which is way
Yep.
more sci-fi
Mm,
action than
yep.
horror. Yeah, yeah,
Cloverfield is like
yeah.
one of the main
There's
big
yeah, there
ones
you
as
go. There you
well.
go. Of course, can't forget
Yep.
that. I'd rather forget my watching of it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so the connection, just because for historical importance, I'll just read what it says here on Screen Rant. It's just a quick paragraph. First known movie shot in a found footage style is The Connection, directed by Shirley Clarke and based on the 1959 play of the same name by Jack Gelber. Released in 1961, The Connection opens with a title card that explains the movie as the result of found footage put together by cameraman J.G. Burden while working for Jim Dunn. Claimed documentary filmmaker disappeared. Movie follows Dunn as he films a group of heroin addicts and former jazz musicians waiting for their drug connection to arrive. Dunn ends up taking heroin with the rest. And the connection ends with Dunn, telling JJ that the film belongs to him, while Dunn leaving to join the rest of the addicts as they wait for their next connection. It's got
Mm,
a cyclical time loop,
yeah.
Twilight
Yeah.
Zone thing going on
Yeah.
there, I reckons. Yeah. That's cited as the very first one. Then you
Mm.
have
Oh yeah.
1980 for
Mm.
Cannibal Holocaust, and then you have Blair
Yeah.
Witch, where it really popularized and
Yeah.
exploded
Yeah.
into cinema
And
and
the
has
the
never stopped. Yeah,
no,
go.
yeah. Yeah. The way that the internet was at the time, and the marketing for the Blair Witch Project
Mm.
absolutely contributed to its success. Um, as in a year before that movie. I mean, you know, we need to do like a whole thing about found footage as
I
a
was
whole
going to
because I
ask
can
if
I
that was
could go
cool
on for
because
ages.
there's just
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
you got to go
But
into, and yeah,
yeah, so a year before the movie came out, you know, they had this because back in the day there would actually be like full on websites dedicated to movies that were coming out, and there'd be all this really cool stuff on there, interactive, pretty much ARGs sometimes. It was really cool. Back when the internet was actually interesting and fun. Um,
mm,
and yeah, and so there was stuff going on about like the legend of the Blair Witch and all that kind of thing, and you know, saying that these people are missing and this, that, and the other. And it wasn't as though you could fact check any of that. So as far as you knew, that was real. And and so that's why the marketing for it worked the way that it did and why it was so effective because nothing like
yeah,
that had come out
yeah,
before. And
that yeah.
yeah,
And
you
that's also
couldn't
why
fact check any of that stuff.
that
Mm,
final image is still as terrifying and memed as it is
yeah,
today. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why it's still out there. Yeah,
yeah,
because of the building up of that
mm,
documentary meets myth. Yeah, they were
yeah,
able to commingle the two
mm,
nicely.
yeah,
Yeah, and but advantageously with no internet. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Um, has it been done today in this way? Because the
It would
director
not
of
work.
no,
You,
it
it would
wouldn't,
not work nowadays.
couldn't.
You
Oh,
would
true.
not be able to do it.
Did you know the director of Blair Witch, the creator, I forget his name, Eric something?
Mm,
Ah, apologies, sir. He had never seen Cannibal Holocaust
mm,
until after.
yeah,
Yeah, which is
yeah,
crazy because the setup,
mm,
forest to jungle,
yeah,
supernatural slash paranormal to, tribal,
yeah,
if you will. Very similar. Yeah. doesn't get anywhere as fucked up, of course. But yeah,
No,
and it was going,
no.
holy shit, that is like a goddamn
Mm,
unlucky. I
yeah.
didn't do that, otherwise I would have never have made Blair Witch Project.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
remember what he says, that guy. Yeah. Thought that was cool. Um, do you dislike the film? Do you like the film?
Um, like it definitely has its place in like film history and because it
Mm.
has been so influential. But
Hmm. Hmm. Are you into
it's
Italian
just
cinema like this? The
yeah.
whole
Yeah,
cannibal strain that they went
yeah.
down?
I haven't seen any Mondo films other than this one.
Mm.
And I haven't seen anything really in terms of cannibal films either. I've because most of the time they are just rooted in racism.
Salt.
So, like, as in
Uh,
the only other like film like this that I've seen is The Green Inferno. So,
oh,
Eli Roth's
okay.
The Green Inferno.
Well,
I
what
haven't
there,
seen any
there
other
we
films
go.
that would be within this
Well,
genre.
whilst you're on it, whilst we're here, because that is his love song
Mm,
to
it
Cannibal
is.
Holocaust. What did you?
That's why it's called The Green Inferno, because that's
Yes,
the name of the
because
documentary these people were making in Cannibal Holocaust.
and what is colloquially the Amazon is referred
Mm,
to.
yeah.
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 Um, yeah. What did you think of Green Inferno?
Um,
I thought it was a bit soft, to be straight up.
yeah.
After Cannibal
Yeah.
Holocaust.
Yeah. Um, it's been a while since I've watched it, so it's not really sticking out in my mind all that
And it
much.
has
There
its
are a couple
own
scenes here and there,
problems.
because there was this whole like recurring thing involving like female genital mutilation that happened, because the main character,
Mhm.
she's like in an
Mhm.
anthropology class in college and they're mentioning that. So like, well, that's gonna come up later, and it does. And
Yeah.
that's about all I remember from the movie. Someone getting eaten by ants, I think. I don't
The
know. I don't remember much.
the reporters are replaced by activists,
Yeah.
SJWs, if you will.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
who Roth's going after. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, it's not great. It's not really good at
Yeah.
all, aside from
Yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah. It's problematic and
Mm.
it's racist in its own way,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And the kill scenes and the actual, brutality he's trying to expose that these,
Mm.
young students can't take is soft. It's lame. Yeah,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust makes it look weak. Yeah. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do not recommend. I do not
Mm.
recommend it. I
Yeah.
do not recommend it myself. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, this film, I agree with you. It definitely should exist and all that.
Mm.
Deodato,
Yeah.
just needs a slap or two.
Yeah.
Is
Woof.
all I'll say. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what else did I have before we go into it? Cannibalism as a taboo is big,
Mm.
certainly was big then, hence why the Italians did it. They have
Yeah.
the church presiding over them,
Mm.
it's quite impressive there,
Yeah.
hence why they do
I
this
mean,
sort of thing.
yeah. And then the whole
Not an
like
excuse, but mm,
Roman Catholic traditions and rituals and stuff like that is like there's
mm,
symbolic cannibalism
exactly,
involved in
exactly.
there. Flesh, the
Do what
body
you
of
will.
Christ and the
I do
blood of
not live there.
Christ
Do
and all
what you will.
that.
But
Jesus.
yeah, you can see
What? The
it, hey?
Catholic Church being
Hey,
hypocrites?
yeah. Yeah, so I've looked into this film before, and so I've watched other Deodato stuff as
Mm.
well. This is part of an unofficial trilogy. There's what is it? The Lost. Let me bring it up. I do have his Wikipedia here. Were you aware of the unofficial trilogy at all there? Have you seen
I don't
any of his other
I don't think
films?
I've seen any of his other stuff. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yeah, well, this is just indicative. This is what he's just most famous for and
Mm.
his most concise, condensed work in terms of that sort of thing. Okay, yes, it was Cannibal Holocaust, but before that there was Jungle Holocaust. It's also known as the Last Cannibal World. That's set in the Philippines.
Mm.
Similar sort of that
Mm,
fare.
yeah.
But then it's almost, do you know what Romancing the Stone is, the movie?
I've
Have you heard of
Heard
it?
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it was Michael Douglas and what's Serial Mom, Kathleen Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very much a kind of, Hollywood adventure romance that's a little edgy, but not really. Um, he did his version of that called
Ah,
Cut and Run.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's in the Amazon again. But it's a guy, much more with a guy with a jungle hat and a thick mustache
Mm,
saves the day
yeah.
with his,
Yeah.
strong, independent, blonde female companion, sort of, yeah, on the plane and you know what I mean.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, 1985, that
uh,
one.
with
Yeah.
all this destruction that's happening to the Amazon, how are these Italian filmmakers able to continue making these films? They can't anymore. There's no more Amazon
No,
rainforest left.
yeah, yeah. Well, he can't anymore because Deodato dead.
Yeah.
Not to be disrespectful. I haven't, and I saw his remake
Mm.
of Last House on the Left with the house on the edge of the park.
Oh.
It's a rape fest.
I mean, it's Last House on the Left. Like,
Yeah, I haven't seen the original. I know children. It's on the
really?
list. Yeah, no, I have
It's
to.
definitely
Yes.
worth seeing. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely worth seeing.
yeah.
And then
Um,
the remake
remakes
that
I
came
liked.
out. Mm,
Don't shoot me. I
yeah.
liked it. Yeah.
During that time period when we were having remakes that were really good, like in the way that
Hmm.
like The Hills Have Eyes and I Spit
Hmm.
on Your
Hmm.
Grave
Hmm.
and
I like
all
that. I like
those,
that.
like
I like
those
that.
remakes were so good. Last House on the Left, that remake was really good as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did like it. It had got Jesse with Aaron
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah, yeah, it's got
Yeah,
Aaron Paul in it.
yeah. And his creepy character was good.
Yeah.
His crack in the neck and his
Mm,
eyes, like he's
yeah,
about to do something horrible
yeah,
like that. Yeah, I appreciated that. That was good. Yeah. Do you know Mondo films? Faces of Death? Of course you do.
yeah.
But do you know Mondo, which they talked about in the Curse
Yeah.
film? Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen, yeah, like I said before, I haven't seen any Mondo films, but I know
Oh,
like
sorry,
the
sorry.
type, yeah. I know the kind of films that they are. Um, in that, they're kind of stuff like cultures around the world, but then it's very much based on like exploitation and violence,
Yeah, 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 totally,
basically.
totally. Yeah. And this film echoes that
Mm,
entirely.
yes. Yeah.
Because yes, it creates pretty much the framework for modern found footage
Mm,
with the found footage in this film, this segment,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, do not deny that. What would you call this film overall? How would you describe
Oh,
it? And if you were going
I
to
don't know.
classify as a genre?
Mm,
Because remember, good 40% is a feature film.
yeah.
It's a
I
standard
mean,
feature film.
it's a
Is that
cannibal
the
exploitation film
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Which just so happens to sink in
that
half.
just so
Yeah.
happens to have that found footage aspect to it. Yeah.
Yeah, which define the genre moving forward.
Mm. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there were about four or five others that came out after this. I saw I haven't
Mm.
seen
Yeah.
them.
Mm.
Yeah. But they were definitely because of this. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
trying to cash in on this. Yeah. Not cannibal films, but working with the idea of the footage that was found
Yeah.
in this cannibal
Mm.
film. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I've seen the Mondo films way back in the day, and I went back and watched the original. Very tame in terms of today's
Mhm.
standards,
Yeah.
but you can see how exploitive they were, i.e., how
Mm.
staged they were. And
Yeah.
Deodato was looking at that in news
Yeah.
footage as
Mm.
well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a major aspect
hmm.
of the film within the fiction of the film, the
Yes.
storyline of the film. But then also
Mhm.
that's his motivation behind creating this movie. But then he has also like gone on to say, no, I just wanted to make a cannibal movie that had nothing to do with it. And then other people who worked on the film with him were like, I don't know what he's talking about. He literally told me that that was his motivation. That was an inspiration. So he's full of shit.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it is
Okay.
in the text
Okay.
of the film. It isn't
Yeah, it is.
subtext.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. It's totally in there. Yeah, and you see how much of a hypocrite he is with in those interviews where there's actors just shaking their head in remorse having ever
Yeah.
been involved in film. They were
Yeah.
magnificent.
Mm.
She was exemplary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Faye is still kind of
Yeah,
messed up.
just
Yeah.
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 Not
Yeah.
even just about the fact that they were confronted with all the unexpected animal murder in front of them. All the
Mm,
a lot of other stuff as well.
yes. The animal murder overshadows
Mm.
understandably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not the only stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. There's a bit to this one, children. Yeah, there's a bit to
Mm.
this one. Okay, so yeah, you've got Mondo, which led to Faces of Death.
Yeah.
Other ones like Shocking USA, eventually led to films like Baraka. Did you ever see Baraka?
No.
Which showed was a contrast film, a beautiful cinematography throughout, classical music, dead can dance, Lisa Gerard mixed in, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And there'd be beautiful shots of orangutans in the Alps and pools, just in the sun coming up. It's the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And then there'll be chickens being tagged and thrown down chutes
Mm.
in the city to the next, but the
Yeah.
music doesn't change. Yeah.
Mm.
And this
Yeah.
and this builds and builds in. Yeah. And this where all this sort of stuff goes back to Mondo, and he was trying to cash in on that. It was inspired by that because of the news footage, trying to make some sort of political statement. Who are the real cannibals? That's basically the
Mm.
political statement throughout this. Um,
That
but
that end line for this movie.
Mhm.
Oh, I wonder who
Yeah,
are the real cannibals?
all right. If I failed actor, come porn star, move on with your
Like
pipe.
that's a perfect example of so
Sorry,
I mean
sir,
this
you're
is
fine.
proof this is proof that it isn't just a recent development in films. Um, where how about you allow the audience to figure that out for
Oh yeah,
themselves? You don't
sure,
have to
yeah, yeah,
spell
yeah,
it
yeah.
out for
No,
them,
yeah,
and
well,
you know,
well, that's the
you
thing.
don't need to do that.
The writer, Italian, look him up.
Mm,
Um, he's worked with Fulci, who's another
mm,
biggie, and
yeah, yeah,
Deodato a lot.
faulty, yeah.
And Deodato definitely, when I say this, they're not complex individuals behind
Mm,
this.
no.
This quite simple, straightforward meat and
Mm,
potato men, to put it
yeah.
nicely. And you can see that in this film.
Yeah.
It's effective almost by accident.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. He didn't really realize what he pulled. Oh, did he? I don't know. I'll decide at the end. I'll decide
yeah.
at the end. But yeah, and he mixed real life footage as well. I think this
Mm,
is what I've been told anyway. The truth with this is pretty much trying to work out
yeah.
very convoluted throughout time. It's become very convoluted throughout time. The Last Road Out of Hell, yeah, with the TV
Mm,
execs look at,
yeah.
which was work by the documentary crew. They were looking
Yeah.
at as an example. All of those crime executions, yeah.
Mm,
I've heard that stuff's real, but then the TV exec at
yeah.
the end did say, of course,
Yeah.
that all that stuff
Yeah.
was staged.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I did read that that stuff was real, and he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Or the
I'm just having a look. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm having a look on the Wikipedia, so obviously take that with a grain of salt.
Hmm. Hmm.
It does have a little annotation though, so but
Hmm.
apparently the originally scripted version of The Last Road to Hell, which was written to depict soldiers advancing upon an enemy position, also went unused, as Deodato instead decided to use stock footage of political executions for the segment in order to draw further parallels to the films of Jacopetti.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Okay,
so
okay, okay.
again,
Um,
that's on
but
Wikipedia. So,
but let's just say that is true. That is interesting because you use the word stock footage. This is
stock footage.
widely available
Mm,
footage
yeah,
as well, and this is the real stuff. Yeah. So he's playing around with this line. You get it, children.
yeah.
Yeah, this is the line he's playing with. Problem with it. the way he executes that, the things he does to
Mm.
get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets there. He definitely
Mm.
gets there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just like
there's absolutely
Pasolini got
stuff.
there with
Mm.
Salo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
got there, but
There's stuff within the overall story that I do really like in terms
please
of
elaborate, please.
this critique of exploitation within the media and the way in which things are kind of staged or edited in a way to push a certain narrative and all that kind of stuff.
Sensationalism, yeah. He's
Yeah,
really looking at sensationalism, I
yeah.
think, in this,
And
yeah.
then this concept of obviously, they're going to the Amazon to look at these certain groups of people there and, obviously looking down upon their culture and wanting to tell a certain narrative about these people and staging things in a certain kind of way to help push that narrative. But they themselves are the stuff that they are doing
Mhm.
is 100% in line with this attitude, the negative stereotype of these quote unquote primitive savages. What is it they are doing who are these Westerners, conventionally
Yes.
attractive white people who,
Hmm.
would be considered more morally upstanding and more civilized. And they're doing that same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which,
We're,
who are the real
yeah.
cannibals? I like that sort of stuff that's
Hmm.
happening. It's just the way that the execution of those concepts leaves a bit to be desired. Like it could have been done a bit better.
And it's unfortunate
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. If it had been done above board, you'd have
Mm.
something
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah. You'd have
Yeah.
really have something incredible. Yeah. That's the shame of
Mm.
this. That is the shame of this. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not that Deodato doesn't have skill. If you like
Mm.
this sort of thing, right up your alley, I get why this is popular.
Yeah.
I get why this is, kept in such a bad company, definitely to this
Yeah.
day. But they come to the village, the four explorers, yeah. They
Mm.
come in colonial style, yeah,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
pretty much straight away, just like Cambodia, they round up like sheep, shepherd the villages, the Yukumo, sorry, the Yakumamo, yes, the Yakumamo tribe, the river tribe, into say a hut, a large hut,
Mm.
and and burn them, yeah, and burn the hut.
Yep.
Sorry, not to get carried away, and burn the hut whilst they're inside, and they are terrified.
Mm.
The reason why they are terrified is basically this wasn't explained to them, and they were just rounded up into there. And
Mm.
these are actors, yes, but they
Yeah.
had barely seen white people before seeing a film set, a film crew, yeah,
Yeah.
and a director and such thing. And this is to set up that whole Mondo reflection that he was influenced by that staged event, yeah,
Mm.
because this is and it's a straightforward reflection on the media because this is four explorers who set up there to create atrocities if they
Mm.
didn't exist, yeah, if
Yeah.
not invent them, yeah.
Mm.
And when the professor first goes in, there's remember the black guy who's
Mm.
speaking to them at the wharf, he's speaking to him at the wharf.
Yeah.
You missionaries and
Mm.
anthropologists would create a place like this even if it didn't exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just hinting at that. So
Mm.
it's built up. It's definitely built up throughout this and
Yeah.
climaxes at the end. Yeah. So yeah, there's elements to like absolutely. That's great in concept, that's great in
Mm.
theory, but
Yeah.
don't throw indigenous people into a hut and then set it alight and have them terrified to
Yep.
get the shots you want. Hmm? Yeah.
Yep. Everyone needs
Yeah.
to be on the same page on any creative project. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, like, I don't care how method you want to get with it, everyone needs to be on the same page.
Yeah. And just to keep to the tone of this film, what did you
Mm.
think of the gore, blood, and prosthetic work?
Uh, it's very Italian cinema. obviously the real gore is real. So we'll ignore that. But all the others, it's very Italian cinema. Um
Mhm.
like to me, I mean, admittedly for me, Italian cinema, Italian horror, um, my main exposure to that is stuff in giallo, and the blood in that is like bright red. It looks like paint. There's no depth or dimension to it and all that kind of thing. And yeah, that's what at least some of the blood and gore in this film is. But I mean, it's fine. Again, it's an Italian film from the 80s, so
Not even the
you
impaled
can't,
scene
yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
impress
oh,
you.
that scene's fantastic. That shot is
Yeah,
really well done.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just
When we get
yeah,
there, are you able
some
to
of the other
explain how
gore
it's
is
done?
just
When
oh,
we go through the plot,
yeah,
would you be able to break down how that's done?
yeah,
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
Thought you could. Thought you could.
It's been yeah, it's been a hot minute since I looked up like, saw the exact details for it. So, I might get some details wrong,
No,
but
that's fine. That's fine because
it's
that's
fine.
worth pointing it out and detailing
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
stick with us there.
Mm,
Yeah, children. Effed up movies. Yeah, just go there. You'll
yeah.
find this. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it is very of its time, of its style, of its
Mm,
genre.
yeah.
Um, Mostly very effective, and it's just the real gore. That's just the stuff. That's just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
fake gore all day, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Something that I realized upon this rewatch is that so group this tribe that they go to, the Yanomamo or whatever they're called. Um, I'm like, huh, hold
they're the
up.
tree people. They're the tree
Yeah.
people.
So in the show Metalocalypse, there's an episode where they go to so Nathan's one quarter an Amazonian tribe, right? And
Of
they
course he
go,
is.
yeah, they go there. Like he's got a journal from his grandma and all that. And they go there and all this stuff is happening for that. But the name of that tribe is the Yanamango. So I'm like, is that a Cannibal Holocaust
That's
reference?
close
Because
as
it's
fuck.
Metalocalypse, so it absolutely could be.
Yeah, yeah, that's close as fuck. Nice, nice.
It could be.
So you have the Yukamomo who are from the
Mm,
river. You have the Yanamomo who are the tree people. They are
mm,
white. You have the Shatari, the swamp people,
mm,
and they are black in terms of the mud. That's not a racial
mm.
thing. That's just how you
Yeah,
identify
yeah,
them in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the pronunciations. Apologies if I get them incorrect moving forward, but that's how you correctly say them. Yeah. These are the three tribes. Two of them are cannibalistic, one on
Mm,
occasion due to ceremony, but
mm.
far
Yeah,
more peaceful. Yeah.
yeah.
Though that's the Yukamomo. Yeah.
Mm,
Which they capture, shoot a whole bunch of at the start, and then capture one to take to
yeah.
the so the professor can take to the tribe. Professor
Yeah, fuck
has a nice
hell.
pipe, can speak well,
Yeah.
but he's not a great guy either,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
already fucked. That's already fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, he's presented as the hero of the story, but and in comparison to this documentary crew,
Yeah.
he's treating them a lot better, but like
Yeah.
he still is clearly viewing them as
Hmm.
people as like people to study and not actual people. Like
Yeah.
in a
Yeah. Yeah.
similar
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
way
Specimens.
when we were
Specimens.
yeah, yeah.
Specimens.
In
Yeah.
a similar kind of way like when we were talking about Midsummer and
Hmm.
Josh and the way that
Hmm.
his
Hmm.
viewpoint was very much from that of an anthropologist kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a similar kind of thing. I don't know if Josh is capable of that same kind of violence, but I don't know. Maybe if his thesis was in jeopardy enough, then maybe he would be. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
He never
Yeah.
got the chance to prove himself.
Nice. Nice. Have to ask because we talk about taboos, certainly on
Mm,
the iceberg, and big taboo is broken,
Mm, mm,
quite literally, because it's literal animal death in this
mm.
movie, not just the
Yeah.
turtle.
Mm. A
Muskrat's
lot.
kind of more
Yeah.
horrific.
Oh yeah, because it's
That's
screaming. It's
screaming. It's
screaming while they're doing
screaming.
it. Yeah.
You hear all of the screaming, all of the sounds of pain. It's not nice. It's really not nice. It's the most
Yeah.
uncomfortable I've yeah been on the iceberg was listening to the sounds of real animal death. How do you feel?
Uh,
Because I'm a
look, I've
hypocritical meat carnivore, meat eater. You're, vegan. Yeah, so I say that because I have to.
oh, I've
Yeah.
watched like full feature length movies that are nothing but slaughterhouse footage. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
like, this is not
Well, it's
something
not
that
that.
I'm
It's not. It's
unfamiliar
not
with
that.
seeing.
It's not that. But pisses you off? Yay? Nay?
I
I
mean,
guess is my question.
the thing is, like we were talking about it, I'm pretty sure when we were talking about Pink Flamingos because the chicken scene in that. But
Mhm.
like unfortunately, when we're getting deeper and deeper into the iceberg and more stuff within like horror films and disturbing movies and fucked up stuff and extreme stuff, this is going to be something that you're going to see more and more of. And if it's something that you are not comfortable with, then,
Mhm.
you need to be aware of that. And
A
this
real
isn't me
and
trying to
real
excuse it.
animal death.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't me, trying to excuse it or anything. It's more of a case of know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
Because we do not value animal lives anywhere near the way that we value human lives. And even then, we are still exploiting people all the time. So yeah, like it shouldn't
Yeah.
be happening for the sake of, entertainment, for the sake of just, oh yeah, because it'll be funny. Like it shouldn't be fucking happening, but it is happening. And
Understood.
so
Understood.
if you are going to be
Yeah.
delving into these kinds of films, you need to be prepared for that kind of stuff to be
Okay.
happening.
That's good to know. Personally, that's good to know as well. Yeah. Didn't really think about that angle with these
Mm,
films. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm
mm,
still on board. Still on the boat. Still on the
yeah.
boat. But yeah. Yui Bowl. Have you seen
Mm,
Split?
yeah. I don't think I've seen any of his movies. I
Yeah,
know his reputation though.
there's a movie called Split,
Mm,
which is just a montage of demonstrations of brutal ways to kill people.
of course.
Pretty much. Not that it doesn't look good.
Mm,
Looks cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I get why. Hmm. Yeah, no, that's another discussion. I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend. But that starts with real dog death. Yes,
Mm,
real
yeah.
dogs being killed in
Mm,
kennels. Yes,
yeah.
footage and pounds of dogs being put
Mm,
down.
yeah.
And it's long and it's loud and it's in your face. And he does a
Mm,
disclaimer at the start. This
mm,
happens in reality. This is horror. Deal
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
paraphrase.
On
Yeah.
the Wikipedia page for Cannibal Holocaust, there's a section talking specifically about the animal deaths.
Mhm.
So in total, 7 animals were killed for the film.
Yes.
So a South American coati, I'm not sure, but it's what is associated as being the muskrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the turtle, a tarantula, a boa constrictor, a squirrel monkey, and a pig. They had
The pig
to
sucked. The pig
mm,
sucked. Yeah.
they had to shoot the monkey scene twice, so that meant that 2 monkeys died
That's
for
right.
the
That's
sake
right.
of
Yeah.
that. So there's obviously all the controversy and all that kind of stuff surrounding the animal cruelty and animal death in this film. But there is a certain film historian, Andrew DeVos, who has said that the condemnation of it in this film is a bit of a double standard in saying that films
Mhm.
like, and this is me just reading directly from Wikipedia, The Rules of the Game, El Topo, Wake in Fright, and Apocalypse Now
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
have animal deaths and animal cruelty in them, and those are not ones that are condemned in the way that that Cannibal
The
Holocaust is.
Holocaust is, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like Wake in Fright, that's
Um,
a Ozploitation film. It's iconic. There is a
yeah,
scene that where they literally go
I
roo
know it
shooting.
well.
They go
Yeah, I
and
know it
shoot
well.
kangaroos,
Yeah,
and that is real footage.
yeah. And I think that hypocrisy, because rue shooting happens all the time,
Mm.
yes,
Yep.
unregulated.
In the
All
dead
the
of night.
yes, absolutely. Drunk as fuck. Yep,
Mm.
I'll say
Yep.
it. I've seen
Because
it.
kangaroos
Uh,
are considered a pest
mhm, exactly. And then yes, that's just fuel
because
to the
it gets in the
fire.
way
Fuel
of
to the
because it
fire.
yeah
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
gets in the way of they get in the way of grazing for like livestock.
Mm,
So
mm,
a
mm,
native animal is considered a pest in
mhm,
Australia.
mm, mm. And it's that sort of hypocrisy. That's a very good extreme example in
Mm,
its own way, definitely. That this movie is trying to show up, that Deodato is
mm,
trying to show up with the shooting of the pig, the eating of the
mm,
turtle, and all that sort of
yeah.
thing. We do that.
Mm,
Yes, that
yeah.
happens in reality,
Yeah.
in society. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
definitely. Many other examples of cruelty towards animals
Yeah.
just for food. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the podcast now that was the insanity of that was a
Mm,
ceremony. Sorry, that was part of a ceremony scene, and that
mm,
was just showing the kaleidoscopic chaos of
mm,
Vietnam War.
yeah.
Um, Consent, there was consent, and it was eaten after. Well, no, consent's
Mm.
not the word. Sorry, animals don't get consent. I'm a meat eater, I know. I'm sorry, vegetarians and vegans. um, the actors, the crew, everyone knew what was going on.
Mm,
Yeah. Cannibal Holocaust, he wanted the shock and
mm,
the throwing up
yeah.
for real
Yeah.
of eating the turtle and that sort of thing. That's
Yeah.
not the way to
Yeah.
go about it.
Yeah.
That's for
The
me,
cast
yeah.
were the cast were
It's
genuinely distressed about it.
it's the double-edged sword with that because you're wrestling with that hypocrisy, but then you're also seeing that that's a really effective scene because of all of
Mm,
that, though. Yeah.
yeah.
Because he knows and he's also pointing the finger back at you. You wanted this violence.
Mm,
So why are you being so sensitive about
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Mm,
At the
yeah.
same time, also, oh, and also, well, that's more to us, to others who will be, oh, how could you watch something like this, even though
Mm,
this is what you wanted? Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's pretty much word for word. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, and we do watch these films. Yeah, and we do watch these films. And they are important, even though the way they go about it is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah. Anyway, stop rambling. Stop rambling. Okay, what about the indigenous treatment in the film?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just this concept of like the way that they live and the fact that they're all cannibals and this and the it's just
How many crazy, violent assaults to women disguised as ceremony can one
mm,
tribe have? Yeah. It's not great. No, no, no,
no.
it's not great. Again, just let people know what's going on and they come in.
Mm,
Even the main actor just arrived there and was thrown into the movie. The
yeah.
guy plays Alan. And I think he got the script there. That's right. Yes, memory
Mm,
serves. He got the script there on the day and then realized what he had to get up
yeah.
to. And yeah, no, what it was, yeah, it was thrown into the deep end for everyone involved, just thrown out with this Italian madman Deodato. Yeah. Just finally, does the film work and should it exist?
I mean, yeah, it just misses the mark in terms of like what its
Mhm,
intent is very
mhm,
clearly, but then also it's iconic and it's incredibly influential, so it deserves to exist,
mhm,
even though
mhm.
like it's not that great of a movie.
No, it's not, is it? No, no, it's not. It's not. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
Mm,
Yeah. And this is what I thought last time with Joey. He echoed the same as well.
mm,
If his film had his shit together and the director wasn't such a piece of shit, it could be close
Yeah.
to a 5, a
Mm.
4.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not reaching there today.
No.
It's not reaching there today. Do you know a lot of the crew were, I know you saw it, a lot of the crew were on cocaine. Was that on the
Mm.
episode? Yeah. So of
Yeah.
course they were. Of course they were.
Yeah.
So of
It's the
course,
80s.
yeah. So remember when they have the first Yukumomo tribe member
Mm.
when they go into the
Yeah,
village
yeah.
and the
He
guys
just has
feed.
like the machete and just has some coke on it and just forces
So
him to do
that's
some coke.
therefore real cocaine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can safely say that's real
Yeah.
cocaine. So
Yeah,
there's another,
absolutely.
what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't force drugs onto people.
And that's what I said at the
Like, if
start.
someone wants to partake, then,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
have them consenting, informed consent, please.
And this
Don't
is a
trick
tribe
them.
again doesn't have barely interaction with
Mm,
white people. Look what happened with
yeah.
alcohol and the
Yeah.
American, Indians, not Indians, sorry,
Mm,
that's a terrible word. My apologies. Native Americans.
mm,
Yeah, and alcohol back in the day. Yeah.
mm,
Cocaine, different chemical
yeah.
makeups, haven't been exposed to this. Yeah. Can kill
Mm,
people. Oh, yes. So, as I said at the start, I don't want to be a moral police with these movies. Yeah, I don't want to be a moral policeman towards these movies whatsoever. And going to focus on that and not do that moving forward. We know what these movies are. Yes, I
mm,
know what these movies are. This one, though, it all had to be said. It all
mm,
had to be said because the point of this whole thing and why I've been pointing this out, and I think you'll probably agree with me, Dorian, is that this guy is asking who are the real cannibals?
mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the savages? Yes, quotation marks for those listening. Or is it us? Yeah,
Mm,
us, the West. Yeah, the
yeah.
white West. The way he goes about this, he's contradicting himself. He's doing all the things that he's trying to point out in
Yeah,
the movie. He's acting like a
exactly.
complete cannibal madman to make an edgelord movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's his whole thing. Yeah, that was his
Yeah.
pretty much his intention out the gate. Yeah,
Mm,
was make a shocking movie. Yeah,
yeah.
um, that's all I have to say. It's a no, I didn't hate it as much as Salo, so it's a 2.5.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 from me as
Yeah,
well.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else you wanted to say on it? I know I've been tangenting.
No, no.
Do you know he was glad that he has surpassed reality over being worse than Iraq beheadings? Yes. Did you know that, children? Dorian does. Thought that was a bit what the hell you did. What? Yeah. No wonder you and Eli Roth get along.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking, it's not a segue, but of safety standards and everyone being on board before you play crazy games.
Mm.
Yeah, that kind of works. What did you think of Strange Darling? Because I've watched it now.
Oh, yeah. I was on board with it up until a point. Um, because
Spoilers. You
yeah,
can go
yeah,
away now. We're
fuck
pretty
it,
much
spoilers.
finished at Evil
Um,
Popcorn Pod.
yeah,
Okay, if you're still here, go get Dorian.
yeah. Basically once it got to the point where like the two cops show up and she
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
stages the scene and frames Carl Goldner's character and all that. I'm like, I need to see if this is like the gender of the person who made this film. And you're like, as in, okay, is this a man or a woman who is like the writer slash director? It's a man. So I'm like,
Hmm.
ah, okay, that fundamentally changes my reading of this film because it's now all about how women can play the victim
Okay,
even if they were
I
the
thought that was going
perpetrator
to
and all
be,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
They will play the
yeah,
victim
yeah.
and everyone is going to believe them because they are a weak, defenseless woman. And look, she's accusing this man of raping her. And obviously, everyone's going to believe her, even though she's actually the bad guy.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm, mhm,
once
mhm.
that happened, I was just so checked out.
Yeah, it's not great. And I pretty
And
much
like
cottoned
everything up
on
until that point,
that was going to be it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
really liked it up until that point. But the moment that scene happened and I could see where it was going, I needed to check to see if it was like, whether it was made by a man or a woman, because obviously like that and that person's perspective is going to fundamentally change the reading of this film. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew that was going to be the case when we were
Mm,
talking about it at Evil Corp, and yeah, no,
yeah.
I do agree. And I also saw everything that was coming along, everything that was going to
Yeah.
happen well beforehand,
Mm,
non-linear structure
yeah.
aside. I thought that
Mm,
was just a bit of lame Quentin Tarantino worship, to be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And by the end, I didn't think that she was that great either.
Yeah.
Yeah. The portrayal of someone crazy was highly problematic.
Mm,
Certainly, yeah. From a
yeah.
feminist perspective, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm,
I thought the cinematography was like, yeah, I get it. You're a
mm.
cinematographer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the colors are cool, but why?
Mm,
Why are they here right
yeah.
now? Yeah, and all
Yeah.
that was yeah, a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, wasn't that overly impressed, but disappointed because heard lots of good things.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Would you recommend?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I would say if you're a
Because it's
fan of,
pretty to
yeah,
watch.
yeah, it is pretty. I
Yeah,
would say if you're a fan of Carl Goldner and Willa Fitzgerald, and then those kinds of like a little bit, because it starts off pretty strong,
yeah, just
in terms
boom.
of,
Yeah,
yeah, the
boom.
and it
Yeah,
being a little bit of that like psychological, sexual, like thriller, like cat and mouse, who's the person that you need to be
yeah.
wary of kind
Not
of
mad at
thing.
that. Not mad at that.
Yeah, it starts off really strong. It's just by the midpoint, it's like, oh, I actually don't really care as much anymore.
Mhm. No, no. And then the two old people with almost
Oh, yeah.
comedic effect
Yeah.
and the hiding in the freezer, whatever. Yeah, yeah. Now that thinking about it, reflecting on it, it's
Mm,
just no desire to rewatch. Good marketing.
yeah.
Okay, what are we doing next?
I'm
I'd
pretty
bring
sure it
bring it up
is the house that
list.
Jack built.
Are we going to go
Yeah,
there?
Lars von
Yeah,
Trier's The House That
yeah.
Jack Built.
And that's before we go to Asia, yeah?
Yes.
So as per the last discussion, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah, great. Lars von Trier. We did mention Lars von Trier as well. Yes,
Mm,
good, good, good.
yeah.
And yeah, you've seen it before.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Same, same. More than once,
Mm,
definitely. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so go find it. It's easy to find this one. Yeah, enough rambling. We'll see you for
yeah.
the house that Jack built. Yes, good night, children.
Yes.
Good night, Dorian. Yeah, see you next time.
Oh, I love it when you're evil. This is me at my most evil. Do your evil laugh.